Hey y'all, hey, how y'all doing today? Hey y'all, hey, how's everybody doing today? How was your 5 days? Did everybody accomplish what you set out to accomplish? Did you do something good today? Did you do something good for others these last 5 days? Good. I just wanted to stop through real quick, not gonna be before you long, to talk about affirming yourselves. Yeah, affirming yourselves. I know that, we've often heard that affirmations is us speaking into the atmosphere what we believe from our conscious mind that we want to see come to pass, and we affirm it, to be so. But being affirmed can also mean what was spoke into you, what you were called, what you saw as a child when you were growing up. And I want to speak on affirmation in regard to in that light. A lot of us growing up, we were either affirmed or not affirmed. Some of us were affirmed positively, and some of us were affirmed negatively. And as adults, what we have to do is now affirm ourselves. And what I mean by that is, even if you grew up and you didn't get the type of affirmation that you felt that you needed, say for instance, your father didn't affirm you. He didn't tell you how beautiful you are. He didn't tell you how pretty you were, how smart you were, that he loved you no matter what, and demonstrated those words, by his actions in a positive, in a good way. And you didn't, say for instance, you didn't get that from your mom. What tends to happen is, as we grow up and we did not receive that affirming from those we looked up to those we loved, and those we held in high regard, we tend to seek that affirmation in other places. And because we're not whole, we're not made whole yet, we set out and we seek that affirmation from people. Well, you draw what you are, and whatever energy we're putting out, that's what we're going to receive. So a lot of times when we're subconsciously, I want to say, seeking affirmation, wanting that person to love us, wanting that person to accept us as one, as whole, wanting that person to be all that we need them to be, we end up attracting where we are, because you attract where you are. So you still don't get that affirmation of what you need, because you're not made whole. Now, for some of us, like myself, growing up, there was not a lot of coddling. My mom didn't do that. My grandma didn't do that. It was not a lot of, come here, let me give you a hug, and you look beautiful today, and let me pat you on your back. You did a great job in school. No, it was, you do what I tell you to do, and if you don't do it, you know what it is. And so we knew we just lived a strict, straight, and narrow. And that's what it is. Now, don't get me wrong. They didn't mistreat us. They didn't do things to hurt us, but there was just not a lot of affirmation. And sometimes, even when a parent is doing great, providing for the child, protecting the child, giving the child everything that they need, that they feel that the child needs, the child is still lacking that self-identity of, am I pretty? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Do I have what it takes? Do I need to be more? Do I need to be less? And because those things are not spoken into that child's life, followed by the demonstration, then the child then starts to seek affirmation in other areas as they get older. That's how come a lot of times you'll find parents or elders saying, well, I wonder what happened to hit this or that child, because they came up in a good family, nothing happened to them. There was not anything that we saw that happened to them that we know, but in their mind, subconsciously, what they're thinking about themselves is a whole nother story. Because typically when there is affirmation that's needed, the child doesn't know how to say that. As a child, I didn't know how to say, well, Mama, I just want you to say I love you. Well, Mama, I just want you to hug me. Mama, I just want you to say, and like I said, don't get me wrong, she didn't do anything to hurt me per se, but her mother was not like that. And probably the mother before that was not like that. So they did not do a lot of coddling or affirming or saying you're beautiful. You're saying you're enough. And because, I did not hear that as a child, as I got older, going through different relationships, I was seeking that. And I was always wondering, am I enough, or do I need to change? And oftentimes I was changing who I was just to fit a mold, or to be who I assumed someone else wanted me to be. But had I been whole within myself and been able to affirm myself to say, Cynthia, you are enough. You're pretty enough. You're smart enough. You're talented enough. You have enough going for you that you don't have to change who you are to fit into anybody else's world. Because number one, they're going to accept you how you are, and they're going to love you where you are. But if you have not made that something that's solidified within yourself, then you're going to be seeking that. And oftentimes you will end up seeking that from the wrong person and from the wrong situations. And what I mean by that is, because there's that void that's still in you, and you're still questioning, who am I? You're going to attract that same level of energy from the people who are doing the same thing, saying, who am I? And when both of y'all get together, it'll be like you're constantly like this, and there's not a mesh, and you're like, well, what's wrong? This person cool, I'm cool, but neither one of y'all were solid in who you were as individuals first. And that's something I had to learn, by going through different relationships. A lot of them didn't work out until I got to a point where I said, okay, God, work on me, creating me who I need to be, who make me whole within you, who created me, and within myself. Once that took place, it took a lot of purging and a lot of dying to myself, meaning dying to things that no longer served me, dying to things that was not going to elevate me, and accepting even the things about me that were imperfections, the things about me that I didn't even like so much. But the things that I could change, I worked on changing those things, and still working on some things today, but I'm not where I was. And I allowed the Most High, the Creator, to heal my heart, because had He not healed my heart, I would still be chasing and looking for affirmation from man. And it wasn't until my heart was healed, that's when the Most High was able to propel me into things that I was dreaming of, into things I had prayed about, because then I was whole and I was ready to go into those doors. Because had I went into those doors or allowed people to come into my space and I wasn't ready, I would have just ended up going through that same repetitive cycle all over again. So I wanted to just tell you all, affirm yourself. Even if you don't feel you're there, affirm yourself. Even if you've never received it from someone outside of yourself, like when you were growing up, during your teenage years, you look in that mirror every day now and say, I am beautiful. I am successful. I have everything I need. I am abundant. And say it until you see it within yourself, if you don't already see it. Once you start doing that and you ask the Most High, who created you, to help you to creating you a clean heart, a whole heart, so that you can see yourself in the ways that you need to affirm, then you'll become whole. You'll become whole within yourself first, within your own heart. And once you do that, you will be ready to attract and call in those relationships that's going to give you freely all that you've prayed for, all that you've believed God for. Trust me, I know. It happened for me. So it can happen for you. But until you're ready, until your heart is whole within you and you're whole with your Creator, that's the time you're ready. And that starts by affirming yourself. Don't wait for anyone else to affirm you. You affirm you. You declare and decree over who you are every day and say, I'm thankful that I'm this. I'm thankful that I'm that. You say it as if it's already so, even if you don't feel that way. And then it will manifest on the outside, and you will start loving yourself. You will start seeing yourself beautiful, flaws and all. because none of us are going to be perfect. No relationship is going to be perfect, but it should not harm you. Even if, you know, how can I say this with balance? Even if it's not what you thought, or it doesn't come in the way that you think it should, once you're whole and you affirm you and you know who you are, you're going to recognize what's for you and what's not. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to stop through to talk to you about. Just get in the habit of affirming yourself. If no one else does it, it's got to come from you first. And if you've never had it, it's not too late. You start now where you are, and watch how you start to evolve. Watch how you start to fall in love with you. Because, whoo, God, once you fall in love with yourself and you're like, I love me. It ain't about being conceited. It's not about being arrogant. It's just about knowing self and knowing who you are and who you were created to be. And once you start falling in love, like, girl, I love you, girl. Once you start to fall in love with yourself, then you start attracting on that level. You start attracting energy from others on that level, and then they can love you and want you and be with you in the way that you desire, because you're there now. You're whole, and that's what you're emitting, and what you emit, that's what you'll get back. So that's all. I don't want to hold y'all too long. I've held you long enough, but I just wanted to stop through to tell you, affirm you and watch how things change for you. Watch the things you start attracting when you affirm you and make the changes accordingly. Yeah, so that's all I had for y'all today. And be good to yourselves. Please be good to yourselves. And one way to start is by affirming yourself. And then once you affirm you, then be good to yourself, be good to other people. Then you can affirm them. All right, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.